Are you a guy over 35 looking to boost your metabolism, drop fat, and build muscle? Well, maybe you know that strength training is good for building muscle, but maybe you're not sure exactly how it actually impacts fat loss, muscle retention during fat loss, and just overall health and fitness. If so, you're in the right place because today I'm going to be diving into the 12 reasons that every single guy over 35 absolutely should be using strength training in the right way, of course, to reduce body fat, improve metabolism, and look and feel better than ever. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. My name is Lance, and since 2005, I have helped hundreds upon hundreds of high-performing entrepreneurs, creators, and online professionals reset their metabolism, drop fat, build strength, and take back their edge without the extreme diets, without the gym bro tactics. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as usual. And here we go. All right, guys. So how to boost your metabolism and get fit after 35. This is 12 reasons strength training is not a should, but a must if you are a man 35 and over, okay? All right. So, all right, I did remember actually to cover these up so I wasn't overwhelmed today. And yeah, so waste a little bit less time. All right, so number one thing, let me actually blow this up just a little bit there. All right, and we'll move that over just a touch. Okay, so the very first one is increased lean muscle mass. Duh, right? We know this one when you're lifting weights. If you're doing it right with adequate protein, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that you can build lean muscle mass this way. But why does it matter? Well, muscle tissue is going to burn more calories at rest compared to fat. Well, more muscle mass leads to a higher resting metabolic rate, known as a RMR or BMR, also known as basal metabolic rate. Every single pound of muscle is going to burn anywhere from 6 to 10 calories per day at rest. And some studies even report as much as 20 to 30 additional calories per day at rest, compared to only 2 to 4 calories per fat or per pound of fat. Okay, so it is a big deal when we are replacing fat with muscle. We are going to speed up our metabolism just simply by carrying said muscle. That has greater impacts than what it sounds like too. If you consider several pounds of muscle and the reduction of body fat, it's going to help you significantly to keep that metabolism up so you're healthier and you're going to look and feel better too. All right. Strength training can increase your resting metabolic rate by approximately 7% over a 10-week span. Now, again, 7% may not sound like a big deal, but I promise you, I have done this now professionally for 20 years. And one of the big things that I've been able to help people to get weight off that stays off is really by focusing on building adequate muscle. The more muscle I put on you, the better you are going to respond to the fat loss phase as well. Okay. All right. Number two, here we go, is enhanced EPOC, which is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. All that simply means is another way to say this is post-exercise calorie burn, okay? So probably an easier way to remember it, but EPOC, I like to teach what that is and how it works. Sometimes you might even hear EPOC in marketing as the afterburn effect. So if you've ever heard that, that's what this is, okay? And simply put, what EPOC is during strength, especially good strength and resistance training workouts, you're going to be requiring more oxygen than your body might have adequately ready at the, let's say this again, more than what the body has readily available. There we go. A little bit challenging to speak sometimes on lives, but we'll get through. All right. So with that being said, though, is when you're finished with your workout, we've got what we would call an oxygen debt, meaning that your body, the muscle, was not able to get all of the oxygen that it needed. So for after the workout, it's still working on replenishing that oxygen. And the cool thing is, after intense strength training, your body burns more calories to restore that oxygen level and repair the muscle tissue. Or now we know that it's not necessarily damaged muscle, but it is doing what we call MPS or muscle protein synthesis. And that's where I put here to repair muscle tissue. So metabolic rate stays elevated though. So after your workout, it's going to stay elevated for all the way up to between 24 to 38 hours after your workout. That's huge. So this means that if you are working out 3 or 4 times a week, like if you've seen my videos on that, your metabolism after each of those workouts is going to stay more peaked than it normally would be. Thus, you're going to get more potential for fat loss. Okay, obviously, it's going to be dictated based on if you're in an adequate calorie deficit, but this is how you do it. And EPOC can account for 6 to 15% of the total calories burned during and after a workout. So it's not just going to cause you to burn more calories after your workout, it's going to accelerate the calories you're burning during your workout, even more so than doing cardio alone. That's the cool thing. Cardio can be boring, and the cool thing is that this is not only less boring, it's more effective. You're going to look better and your physique begins to change more rapidly, okay? The other thing, and this is a huge thing because so many people in the country right now are battling what we would call diabetes 2 or type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, which is where they're already in an insulin resistant state. We want to get you back to insulin sensitivity, okay? So with strength training, or resistance training, you are going to get that increased sensitivity. So it's going to make your cells more responsive to insulin, and that reduces your blood sugar levels. It's pretty cool. Now, better glucose uptake also is going to manage your blood sugar levels and lower the risk of type 2 diabetes, like I just mentioned. Or if you have been diagnosed, like many of my clients in the past, oh gosh, Lance, I'm now pre-diabetic. What does that mean? Well, it means that you are insulin resistant, and we've got to get you out of that phase. So regular strength training can reduce your A1C, your blood sugar levels, by up to 0.5%. Now, again, that doesn't sound like much, but then if you factor in my other techniques of using the 80-20 rule, being within your calories of what your target is, improving your non-exercise activity, and doing low glycemic index, when you pair all of those combined, bud, you are going to get out of type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes land in no time. So strength training is a huge factor, more so than cardio, okay? All right. Now, another one is increased hormonal response, okay? So for testosterone and growth hormone, which is, again, a big deal. So strength training is going to stimulate hormones that aid in muscle growth and fat metabolism, okay? Meaning the burning of fat. So boosted levels of testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, which is insulin growth factor 1, it's going to promote muscle building and fat oxidation. Now, fat oxidation is not the same thing as fat loss. Fat oxidation means that we're going to use fat as the fuel source rather than using another one, such as glycogen or glucose. Basically, in this sense, it's going to allow us to have more energy and more hormones specifically for building muscle and using fat as a fuel source, which is absolutely going to help us. Intense resistance training can also increase growth hormone levels by 44 to 66%. Now, I had to double check that too, because I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. I always do a lot of research to double check what I think I know before doing a video, and that was pretty amazing to me. I knew that it increased. I did not know the exact percentage, so I was pretty taken aback by that. So definitely something to make sure that you pay attention to. All right. Next one, higher metabolic rate during recovery. As I mentioned, repairing muscle tissue, or again, going through MPS after strength training is going to take energy. Whether we think of it as repairing muscle or whether we think about it pertaining to that muscle protein synthesis where we're building up, either way, it takes energy. So your body uses calories during the rebuilding phase, during that MPS phase, leading to a sustained metabolism boost. I say sustained because it's going to cause your metabolism to pick up not just for a limited time like EPOC, but actually for a longer time, okay? And if you do this regularly, permanently, that's the cool thing. Protein synthesis is going to stay elevated for 24 to 48 hours post-workout, increasing your calorie expenditure. And, well, here, we'll just dive in so that way I'm not teaching too much here. So your fat oxidation, again, this is the use of fat. So strength training promotes the use of fat as fuel. So this means leading to a higher fat burning rate during and after workouts. And it's been shown to increase your fat oxidation by how much? 15 to 25%. Now, again, a lot of times people will confuse like being in keto or in ketosis, because that causes you to oxidize fat more than oxidizing glucose or glycogen. So simply put, you need to understand that fat oxidation does not automatically mean the loss of total body fat. But it dang sure can help, especially when you're eating and getting the right fuel sources, especially being within the proper calorie deficit, which is key for everything, okay? Now, this is a big one here, the preservation of lean muscle mass during weight loss. Why is it a big deal? Because when you lose too much muscle mass, or any muscle mass for a guy, number one, it sucks. Number two, it slows down the metabolism. Why? Because we already went through that your muscle is going to burn about 3 times more calories than what fat does. So when we lose muscle, we are slowing down our metabolism, and it can happen pretty rapidly if we're losing both fat and muscle. We lose pounds of fat and pounds of muscle, we might slow down our metabolism pretty significantly. So having this is a big deal. Maintaining your muscle mass is going to prevent metabolic slowdown, known as metabolic adaptation, also, excuse me, also known as adaptive thermogenesis. They're both very, very similar, pretty much going to mean the same thing. Ultimately, what that means is when your body down regulates the metabolism, it is going to slow down your energy output, meaning you will not be able to burn the same amount of calories doing the same exact, let's say, moves or the same exact motion, same exact activities as what you had before. So just as a small example, I'm just going to throw out random numbers. So these are not going to be based on factual numbers. It's going to be based on the premise. So what I mean by this is, let's say that you burned 100 calories in 10 minutes from running a mile, okay? Now, what happens is when you go through this metabolic adaptation or adaptive thermogenesis, your body begins to become more efficient with how many calories it's using to get that workout or chore done. So in this case, the chore or workout is running a 10-minute mile, okay? Or burning 100 calories in 10 minutes, however you want to say that. And so what ends up happening here is that as it begins to become more efficient or downregulate, now your body is figuring out a way, an intelligent way, to still get your 10 minutes of exercise done, but instead of wasting all 100 calories, it's going to try and do it maybe with 80 or 85. Now that sounds cool, like if your car just suddenly decided it's going to help you to get better gas mileage, that's a freaking great thing. Now, the problem with this, though, is that this isn't gas mileage. So we actually don't want an efficient body when it comes to burning calories. We want our bodies to be inefficient in that sense so that it actually is willing to waste calories if we overeat. And so that's what ends up happening, okay? So in this sense here, when we maintain muscle mass to prevent that metabolic slowdown, when we're in that calorie deficit, it's going to prevent the common issue of skinny fat or the issue of losing muscle, slowing down the metabolism, and then activating several metabolic adaptation, let's say, responses, okay? So combining strength training with calorie restriction, which again, you want to do a safe deficit. I've talked about that in other videos. It's going to prevent the typical decline in your metabolism that typically occurs with weight loss, especially at a deep calorie deficit. So including resistance training during that deficit can reduce your muscle mass loss by anywhere to 40 to 50%. So again, like not doing proper strength training, you are like just doing cardiovascular or even doing all hit where it's high intensity, you might suffer the loss of some lean body mass, which means that you're going to suffer a slower metabolism, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm moving really fast, but I want to make sure since I've got 12 of these that we get through all of them. Oh, there we go. Cool. All right. So, no, I forgot to take some of these out of bold. Bear with me. So, all right. Another one is increased calorie efficiency. So you heard me talk about non-exercise activity a few minutes ago. This is what we call NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Sometimes you'll also hear it called NEPA, N-E-P-A, non-exercise physical activity. What's the difference? Well, NEAT is technically going to be anything that is unconscious activity. Fidgeting, doing things like I'm doing right now where I'm not thinking about talking, moving, blinking. That's technically NEAT. Whereas NEPA, N-E-P-A, is going to be things like walking, playing frisbee, going golfing, doing just fun things that add up that are not scheduled exercise. But for the sake of most of my videos, we pretty much are going to combine them. So you're going to hear me kind of use NEAT and NEPA interchangeably, okay? So why does this matter? Well, stronger muscles are going to make everyday movements more efficient. Now, a few minutes ago, I talked about efficiency being that we don't want to conserve calories. In this sense, efficient is different, where it means that it's going to cause your muscle to actually use more calories or to be able to accelerate the your non-exercise thermogenesis, which means that you're going to use more calories. It's undoing metabolic adaptation. So in this sense here, as for my analogy, I should probably say that it's less efficient, but in this sense, more efficient means that your metabolism is efficient. Your body is actually less efficient because it is burning more calories than what it normally does. So in other words, if walking 10 minutes burns 50 calories for you, when you're strength training, it's going to cause your NEAT, when you're doing these non-exercise activities, to be more costly of calories, okay? So daily activities like walking, carrying groceries are going to become more calorically demanding when your muscle mass is higher. Why? Well, muscle mass, again, requires more calories to maintain it. It's a more expensive, let's call it commodity on the body. So if I've built more muscle from my strength training, now I have 5 more pounds of muscle on me. That 5 pounds means that my body has to work harder to get said activity done. So imagine like holding on to 5 pounds in each hand compared to not holding on to it. You're obviously going to be using more energy to move that additional 5 pounds in each hand. So this is what causes that, okay? All right, now NEAT can account for 15 to 30% of your daily calorie expenditure in active people, okay? What that means is that if you're barely getting, 2,500 steps in a day, you are leaving fat loss on the table. Your body is actually not going to be as calorically demanding as what it could be if you were more active and using strength training, okay? All right, this one is a big one. So we're talking about the reduction of not just fat, but visceral fat, okay? Reducing fat around the organs, known as brown fat, which is again through the organs here, around the organs, it's going to improve your metabolic health, obviously. But it's also going to lead to lower inflammation, reduced risk of metabolic diseases, and it shows that, again, reducing visceral fat by up to 10% over several months can happen from resistance training. So even if you feel like the scale is not coming down quickly enough, you need to know that adequately, there we go, doing resistance training regularly can reduce your visceral body fat up to 10%. Guys, this is a huge thing. I don't have time to get into all of what visceral body fat causes, but my gosh, most of the health issues that people complain about, and they're like, oh man, fatty liver disease and coronary heart disease, all these different things, okay? All of them usually are going to be, let's say they're correlated. There we go. They're going to be correlated with visceral body fat or visceral fat, brown fat, okay? Okay. So this is a big deal. So just, don't miss that. All right. Now, long-term metabolic adaptation. Now, you've heard me talk about metabolic adaptation. Metabolic adaptation normally is going to be in a sense of a negative because we're talking about the downregulation of your metabolism. In this one, we're talking about a positive adaptation. So regular strength training is going to keep your metabolism from adapting to a lower baseline as you age, and it's also going to keep it from adapting as low when we're in a calorie deficit, okay? So this is a big, big deal. So sustained muscle mass is going to combat age-related metabolism decline known as sarcopenia, which is basically muscle atrophy over time. And a lot of times it's going to happen as hormones change, as we get old, with stress, not using resistance training enough, all kinds of things. And this is where, as we get older, a lot of us end up becoming frail and we end up going through various diseases and health issues. Well, if you focus on strength training like this, not only are you going to have the strength to keep you well, but you are also going to make sure that you are aging at a slower rate. Very freaking cool. And on top of that, again, you're going to prevent that adaptation from being negative, where your body is instead adapting to a better stimulus, meaning that your metabolism adapts and overcomes the strength training that you're giving it, and it actually speeds up. It accelerates instead of decelerating. Okay. All right. Now this one here, mitochondrial density and efficiency. I will explain this. So your mitochondria, and I love this kind of definition, it's like tiny energy factories inside your muscle fibers and other cells. It's going to convert oxygen and nutrients into ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. You'll hear of the ATP system and the CP or creatine phosphate system. And that's ultimately what is going to give us our energy that is accessible during exercise, during workouts, during doing activity that we need. So more mitochondria means more energy production, and what else? More calorie burning, right? That means if we're burning more calories at rest because of more mitochondria, just like more muscle, it means that we are going to be at a better body fat percentage. We are going to carry more muscle. We're going to have more energy readily available, all because of this. There's so many benefits to strength training, especially when you are adequately taking in the right amount of calories. Resistance training is going to increase your mitochondrial density, especially in slow twitch muscle fibers. Now, if you want me to, I will do a full thing on type 1, type 2A, and type 2B muscle fibers. And I did research about 15 years ago on gray matter material as well. So if you want me to talk about those, drop a comment below. Let me know. I don't want to create videos where it's totally geeking out on the science, but if you guys want that, I'll do it. Okay, so higher mitochondrial density correlates with better fat oxidation. There's that word again, fat usage and energy utilization. So again, it just means that we're going to be able to have energy more readily available, and it's going to mean that we're going to use fat as a source of fuel more readily too, okay? Last one here, guys, last one. Lower risk of metabolic syndrome. What is that? Well, it's a cluster of conditions such as high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess abdominal fat. And it's going to significantly increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes. So metabolic syndrome is a big deal. If you'll go look up metabolic syndrome on Google or wherever you want to look it up, you will see that it is like, I don't want to share because I don't remember the statistics, but my gosh, the amount of people that are battling like from age 50 to 75 of metabolic syndrome is overwhelming. And be sure, if you do look that up, check out the comparisons of what it is today compared to what it was 20 years ago. It is shocking, okay? So why does this matter? Well, it's going to combat factors like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat. It's also going to help with insulin sensitivity, as we talked about. There are so many different things that this is going to do. So resistance training is also going to help reduce these risks by improving your body composition. So again, which means more muscle, less body fat, and therefore your cardiovascular health is better, which means, again, less likelihood of a heart attack, even if you've got a stressed out job, less likelihood of a stroke, less likelihood of getting increased visceral body fat, less likelihood of suffering type 2 or pre-diabetes symptoms, okay? So regular strength training can also decrease the metabolic syndrome risk by about 30 to 35%. Pretty dang nuts, okay? So that is everything. I know I went rapid fire through this one, and hopefully all of this made sense. If you feel like, hey, this is awesome, I would really love to learn how to put a plan together or to get something. I'm dying to get, the fat off and to just have my confidence, my energy, and to feel like I'm back to the man I used to be. If that's you, check the link below. First, I've got a book that's on sale, Food, Love, and Fat Loss. You definitely don't want to miss that. And secondly, I've got a free health and fitness audit, and it's about 25 minutes. We'll jump on a video call, and all we're going to do is just simply figure out what things are out of alignment, what's holding you back from having your dream physique and your dream life come together in a sustainable way that fits your lifestyle. So there won't be any pitch on that. There's no sales or anything like that. It literally is my way of just helping and serving. And if that makes sense and you go, hey, this is great, now I know what the problem is and I can kind of see some of the solutions. I would really like to see what you do. Then we can talk about booking a second call from there. But the point is that in this first call, it's all to serve you, to figure out what the heck is going on, what do we need to do, and to give you that peace of mind that you're going to be able to get exactly where you want to go. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you feel like this video was helpful, if you feel like it resonated, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if it makes sense to you, please consider sharing the video too. Thank you guys so much. I will catch you all on